Welcome back to the Global Business Report on the Rise News. Let's talk taxes, and specifically electronic tax filing. That refers to the process, of course, of filing one's taxes electronically using online software approved by a relevant tax authority of the respective state or nation. What are the benefits? Convenient and flexible, saves time and money, increased accuracy, less room for manipulation, increased authenticity and accountability. What about the limitations of e-tax filing? Well, there's complicated software. E-filing is an easy task for trained professionals or tax agents. However, the use of e-filing software is not taught everywhere and hence can be complicated to use for tax-paying units that file their own taxes without using the services of a tax agent or a trained professional. Also, security. E-filing involves a tax flyer to be able to put their faith in the security of their internet connection, software, data, etc., etc. Still, electronic systems are not short of breaches. Back on the 1st of October 2019, the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service launched its e-tax platform for all taxpayers in the state to be able to file their taxes online. More recently, the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, LIRS, announced the deactivation of the EBS RCM, that's Electronic Banking System Revenue Cycle Management, and migrate all tax-related transactions to the e-tax platform effective August the 1st. Well, why they do that? Well, our next guest is here to answer that, Mr. Rasheed Olu Ajayi, who is the Assistant Director ICT at the LIRS. You're very welcome, sir. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Reuters, and thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So yes, so why the migration? Can you help us break down all those ECB, CM, and all the other things?
No, it's actually our legacy application, which is the EBS RCM, which was what we were using to do our reconciliations. But be that said, it's actually not been jettisoned. It's actually still being in use for reconciliations at the end of the day. But why we introduced e-tax is just to be in line with the federal government initiative to drive the ease of doing business in Nigeria. And Lagos State being the focal point of that is using LRS as a tool to ensure that we make businesses seamless in Lagos. So the e-tax platform is a digital automated system which allows us to digitize and automate all our processes from end to end, from enumeration to registration to tax assessment, payment of taxes, issuance of ETCC correspondence, and so on and so forth. So it's an end-to-end tax administration software.
Great stuff. So you say you're not jettisoning it like for now. Is there a time frame to when the migration happens? Is it still that August or October? First deadline?
Well, the August announcement was actually an announcement for particularly the bill generation, which is an addendum to what we had launched in the 1st of October 2019. We want to drive all our payments through ease of doing business so that people at the comfort of their homes can actually generate their bills and just make payments. This helps us in ensuring that or enabling that taxpayers at the touch of a button can print out their revenue receipts from their own homes without necessarily having to go back to the banks after making payments. So both are still being used simultaneously, actually.
So as far as e-tax automation is concerned, just to help us out again, if maybe you've answered that already, the difference between the EBS RCM and what we're trying to get to?
Oh, yes. Well, you can just say EBS is a legacy application, which is actually used primarily by the agency, while the e-tax application is customer-facing. Our taxpayers are enjoying to actually use the e-tax. It will make their life a lot more easier to do. One of the core principles of taxation is the principle of convenience, and that's what we're trying to do here, so that taxpayers at the touch of a button can do all that tax transactions from their own home in the comfort of their homes without necessarily having to include or be part of the congestions on our daily roads in Lagos, and obviously to reduce the cost of collection for taxpayers as well.
Great stuff. So that list, if we put out that list again, benefits of electronic tax filing, did we nail it, or is there any other advantages you want to add let's put up that list again. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, that has actually, you've done done quite well actually, but I would also include transparency in that way, because it gives us a good level of transparency. It has also helped the agency to reduce the leakages within the system as well as ensuring, making sure that, reducing the avoidance of taxes and tax evasion as well for the agency. And obviously the taxpayers as well have their own benefits in that as well, which means they can now see their application much more, have more accountability for their application. Because now when a taxpayer logs into their platform, at the touch of a button, they can actually see all the transactions that they have done in the past, or in the past, going back to 6, 7, 8 years from there. So it's more accountable for taxpayers and the agency. So it's a win-win situation for both taxpayers and the agency as well.
Great stuff. How does a taxpayer generate a bill reference on the e-tax platform? Okay,
bill generation is quite easy. For anyone doing so, they will need to have their payer ID, they will need to have their password, and once they have that, once they log into the application, on the left pane of the application, there's a menu there which is called Payment. On that menu, if they click on it, there's a sub-menu there which would allow them to do a bill generation. Once they click on that, they need to input the agency code in there, the revenue code, upload a schedule for them to use, and then a details pops up for them to ascertain if what they're paying is actually correct. And then once they click that, a bill generation is done, and then they can just proceed to any payment channels for making that payment online.
All right, great. Now, so I guess since the migration to the e-tax platform effective August 1st, how would you describe compliance so far?
Well, compliance has been very good. I'm sure we could do more though, because if you look at the number of people we have on that platform now, it's just about 3 million. And if you just oppose that against the residents in Lagos, which is marked at, I think, about 20 million. So it means we just probably make about 15 million. So let's even say, for the argument's sake, that, okay, 50% of the population in Lagos are taxable. It still means that we need to have about 10 million in our tax net. So which means we still need to do a little bit more in bringing people to tax nets.
As far as eligibility to register on the platform, what are the metrics there?
Right, the eligibility is quite simple. Anybody who, any entity or individual who transacts business in Lagos needs to register online. So anybody who earns an income in Lagos, either as an entity or an individual, needs to register on the e-tax platform.
Well, okay. I was going to ask you about the informal sector, because there's folks, outside that. Well, is Lagos still actively trying to get, the vulcanizers and chin-chin sellers and akara sellers on the side of the road, because they're earning an income, right?
Right. We have another application actually, because one of the limitations of e-tax is that people who aren't technology savvy might struggle a little bit, though we have, what we call our subject matter experts in our tax stations with a set of computers who would willingly help anyone that comes into a tax station who is not technology savvy and help them to do their register online so that we can profile them. But with that said, we have an application which is called the Bile Hub, which is primarily for the informal sector, and that has also been integrated with e-tax. So it's either you register on the platform of the informal sector, or you register as a low-skilled taxpayer, or you register on e-tax as a skilled taxpayer. Both are still integrated together at the end of the day.
All right. Yeah. A friend had a job he was doing for a firm, and they asked him for his tax ID. And he calls, he says, Rosus, how do I get my tax ID? So I'm throwing that question to you. How do you get your tax ID in order to be able to file, going forward? Okay.
The chances that, your friend might have been captured in e-tax is possible if the company he works for is tax compliance.
Okay.
However, if you can send us an email on etaxinfo@lrs.net, or you can chat to us on the etax platform, which is etax.lrs.net. There's a chat box there for him to chat with us. Or you can even call our customer service, is an 0700 call LRS, or you can say 0700 2555 477. They can call us there, or even reach us on our social media websites. We have the Twitter handle, we have the Instagram handle, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, and all those social media have a unique handle, which is at LRSGOVNG.
All right, as far as the taxes collectible by Lagos, this is probably the favorite question of everybody watching. What are they from Lagos State?
Well, essentially is personal income tax, for individuals is direct assessment. For people in corporate organizations like yourself is pay as you earn, which obviously I'm sure they're deducting.
They're deducting it. They are deducting it.
And then you
every month.
and then you have business premises, you have development levy, you have withholding tax on individuals for royalties and rents. You have a capital gains tax, which is for individuals as well. And then you have stamp duty on instruments as well. And don't also forget the consumption tax as well. If you go to a highbrow area to consume, then you have to pay tax on that, unfortunately.
Well, hey, taxes are big. You got to pay for the stuff that you use. What about a situation where someone has multiple taxpayer IDs?
Right, with multiple taxpayer IDs, the good thing is that e-tax gives us the flexibility to be able to merge those payer IDs. So we need to be able to get those two payer IDs from whoever has them, and then send us an email through those medium that I have said, and then we'll be able to merge the transactions into one unique identifier, one unique payer ID for such individuals. Okay,
so and again, folks that heard your comment on the show, are there too many taxes in Lagos? Is that what would be your answer? I think I know what your answer would be, because you just went through the list. But yeah, are there too many? Or because look, we understand that right now, after coming from COVID, war in Ukraine, many states around not just in Nigeria, but around the world are trying to raise revenue. You can see what's happening in the UK with how taxes kicked out Liz Truss.
Exactly.
So, are there too many taxes? Are we overtaxed?
Well, I wouldn't say that. Yeah. What people need to know is that there are three tiers of government in Nigeria. Yeah. We have the local government, we have the state government, and then we have federal government. The unfortunate thing is that each tier of government has their taxes that they're collecting. Yeah. So, and because it's tax, and we are, an agency that's statutorily meant to collect personal income tax. Personal income tax is statutory, which has to be collected. Yeah. But all these other taxes are collected by local governments, they're collected by federal governments, but everybody just thinks it's LRS that is collecting all these taxes.
Okay.
So, I mean,
it's divided.
It's divided. What you do is, if you go to a Lagos State government website, lagostate.gov.ng, the list of taxes collected by the states is well listed there. The ones collected by local governments is well listed there, and the ones collected by federal government is well listed there.
As well. All right, so before we go, do you want to put that contact information so that folks don't get in trouble and they know where to go to pay their taxes?
Well, for anyone who wants more information on tax related issues, you can reach us on 0700 2555 477. I'll repeat that number again. It's 0700 call LRS, 0700 255 5477. Or you can send us an email on etaxinfo@lrs.net. We'll be happy to answer your questions. Or if you go to the etax application as well, you can chat with us. Etax application is etax.lrs.net. We'll be happy to chat with you on there. Or you can reach us on our social media website, which is at LRS .gov.ng.
So you don't get in trouble, because Lagos State does not play when it comes to tax collection.
Well, it's a statutory requirement, and we do everything within the ambience of the law to ensure that we don't stay out of line to collect those taxes.
Hey, it's the commercial capital of Africa's largest economy, commercial capital of Lagos State. Mr. Rasheed Olu Ajayi, who of course is the Assistant Director ICT LIRS. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
your
having
time.
me.